This week I made this. A plain, featureless box. No buttons, no screens, no plugs, nothing. Or so it seems. But oh, look what just happened. Curious about what it could be? Then stick around. This is my second project where I will be using the Blynk software for remote control. If you are not familiar with it, it might be a good idea to check out this video, where I controlled a single LED and also covered a lot of basics. This project, however, will be substantially more complex. We'll use an iPhone with a Blynk app, and through the Blynk cloud we'll control a 32x8 dot matrix display connected to a microcontroller. Specifically, I will use my phone to design the text presentation for the matrix, defining each step and specifying animations for how the text transitions in and out. For this project, we'll need the following components: an ESP microcontroller, which provides the capability to connect to the internet, a 32x8 dot matrix display powered by 4 daisy-chained MAX7219 modules, a mini breadboard. I want this project to be solderless, so I will connect the components like I do for any other breadboard prototype. Power for this project will come from a 9-volt battery. In my case, I will use a small power bank shaped like a 9-volt battery, which can be recharged via this USB mini slot. Lastly, we'll need a bunch of DuPont jumper wires and a 9-volt battery snap connection cables to tie everything together. Let's start by plugging the microcontroller into the breadboard. This microcontroller already has the preloaded sketch you will need for this project. You can find the code in the project description. I will provide a detailed breakdown of it in the second part of this tutorial. To achieve the mystery box look, as shown at the beginning of this video, we'll need to design and 3D print a custom case, which will consist of 4 separate elements. The first element is the front panel, which serves as a diffusion panel. It will be mounted and plugged into the main case. Here is our dot matrix display. If we turn it around and slot it into the main case, it will sit directly on top of the diffusion panel, ensuring that any LEDs lit will be evenly and clearly visible through the front panel. Then you have a third component, which is the panel on which we will place microcontroller and the battery. And the last one is the back cover to seal the case. We can do a quick simulation in Tinkercad how the 3D printed components fit together. That's the design, but now it's time to bring it to life. I won't show the entire printing process, but I will demonstrate the printing of the front panel, as this part involves changing the filament color. The first 3 layers will be printed in white, and then we'll switch to black. Once the printing is done, we'll remove the brim, an adhesion feature that helps the model stick to the print bed by increasing its surface area during printing. Here is the printed panel. Looking at it from the front, you won't see the diffusion panel, which contains a grid to accommodate the individual LEDs. Let's attach the front panel to the main case. Now I will test if the LED matrix fits into the designated slot. I have already connected the matrix to the female side of the DuPont jumper wires, and it fits perfectly. Next, we'll add the inner panel, which is used to mount the remaining components. First, I will slot the microcontroller into place. Then we'll add the battery. Now it's time to connect everything, starting with the SPI pins. I will follow the connection table displayed on the screen. After that, I will connect the VCC and ground of the matrix to the 3.3 volt and ground pins of the ESP microcontroller. Finally, we'll connect the battery. I have made a small modification to the battery cables by soldering male header pins to the ends, so they can be easily plugged into the breadboard. Be sure to connect the positive wire to the VIN pin of the microcontroller, as it has a built-in voltage regulator. Connecting the battery to any other pin could damage the microcontroller, which operates on a 3.3 volt logic. Once the wires are securely connected, we'll snap on the battery connectors. And with that, our project is nearly complete. The final step is to attach the back cover, seal the case, and hope everything works as intended. Now that we have the hardware set up, let's quickly look at the Blynk interface. I will describe it in detail in the second part of this tutorial. To build the Blynk interface, you first need to install an app on your mobile phone. In my case, I found it in the App Store. When I open the app, you can see the device I created for my project. Inside, there are several widgets used to create an animated text presentation for my display. Specifically, I have the text input field for entering the text to animate. Then there are combo boxes to select the entrance and exit animations, as well as the text alignment. You can also set up the animation speed and the duration the text stays on the screen before exiting. Next, we have a button to add animation steps using the settings I just described. Multiple steps can be added and they will be displayed in the black text panel. Once everything is set up, pressing Run Presentation will start the animation. There is also a hidden widget to reset the presentation, preventing accidental presses. This button clears all previously defined animation steps. And with that, we are ready for a quick demonstration. Let's add the first step with the blinds animation for the entrance and the mesh animation for the exit. The higher the speed value, the slower the animation. The step has been added, and you can see its summary in the text panel. Now let's add two more steps. One with random for the entrance and wipe for the exit. The last one with scroll right for both entrance and exit, and this time we'll adjust the text alignment to the left. And now the moment of truth. Will my mystery box perform as expected? It does. The diffusion panel works like a dream. And with that, the first part of this tutorial is concluded. In the next part, I will go into detail about creating Blynk data sources, linking them to the individual widgets, and writing Arduino code to process the data sent from Blynk. You will also see that I won't be writing the Arduino code from scratch. Instead, we will modify the existing code I wrote for my Parola text animation project, simply integrating the Blynk components. So this is the end. I hope you're intrigued enough to watch the second part of this tutorial. The final draft will be available tomorrow for my channel members and Patreon supporters, and the final version should be released sometime next week. Don't forget to drop a like, share this video, subscribe to my channel not to miss any future content. Also consider supporting me through Patreon, PayPal, or by becoming my channel member. I will see you all next time. Ciao!